Morning, guys. This is second day, Tuesday, August 30th, and I'm finally loaded. Actually, they were ready before. You know, I went in the morning. I went and my computer died, so I got up at 7 o'clock. I went to the truck stop because they have a plug-in and they have a small sitting area, like 3 tables and a little desk over there. Got some coffee, so charged my computer, and I uploaded the video, so it's gonna play today at 12 noon on Tuesday. But this one I'm gonna do after that, probably maybe later tonight, depends on how much juice I have in my laptop. But I'll probably be at a truck stop somewhere. Like over here, actually, I'm losing phone calls. I try switching. I keep switching between Rogers, Canadian, which uses AT&T over here, and Verizon. And one time Verizon works better than the other time AT&T works better. You know, but text messages work. Some guy just texted me. He's interested in the trailer, and he's from Ontario, so we exchanged messages, and he said, well, I can see you when you deliver. I said, yeah, I'm delivering pretty much in downtown Toronto near the lake. And so it was very challenging, you know, backing under this thing, because it's 4 legs, right? The crane was lifted on 4 legs, and you know, we measured, we figured out how close I have to be to the, I was using, for reference, I was using some metal plates there in the middle, and I tried this way, I tried this way. Either the front is okay, the rear is off, or vice versa. Man, it took probably half an hour, you know, doing this chainsaw backing, you know. But eventually what helped is that the guys put a piece of string, like a small tape, on the side of that plate on the left that I was using as a reference point, and then another plate over here. And they were also holding like a bright yellow measuring tape, right, just pointing. And I was getting closer and closer. I was just a couple of inches off, and then the trucker, the guy that works for this crane company, because that crane showed up again because they're moving some stuff here, you know, small loads that are still left from the crane, but all the trucks left. I think I saw one last guy this morning when I came in, and he was leaving. But so the crane is here, and the guy, the truck driver, actually was pretty helpful because he understands what I need, right? And he said, okay, you know, turn your steering wheel all the way to the right. Okay, go this way, you know, turn all the way to the left, because you know I cannot see the rear, right, of this machine. It was, I'm telling you, it was challenging because there's no lines anywhere, right? Actually, I think one time what I did, I think I was loading in a port, something with a similar situation where I was always off. I think I had some timbers, like 4x4s, and I just put them in a straight line on each side to create a visual, you know, point of reference. Sometimes it's just, you know, especially like here, it's just a yard, right? So no lines anywhere, you know. And so this trucker from the equipment company was pretty helpful. You know, a trucker will always know what another trucker needs, right? And I'm like this much off on the other side on the back, but in the front I'm like perfect. And I said, don't worry about it, it's gonna be okay. Yeah, I'm not sure about the weights, we'll check my gauges after. So now they raised the hydraulic legs, which means that the machine went down, and it sits on my trailer. I'm a bit concerned. It sits fine, except they were warning me that there's a lot of weight in the back, right? In the front it's just a cab, and actually there was only one way to load this because this thing is pretty long, and if I came too close this way, then the cab was sticking out. It would hit the neck of my trailer, and so I had to go forward a bit, and there's pretty much only one position. And if I go too far forward, then there's some legs in the back there. They would start hitting the tires, you know. And that's the problem, you know, when you have your deck is only 26 feet long. I mentioned this before, even though the load itself may not be too heavy, but because you're limited in how you can position it, right, because of the length, restrictions, so to speak. So if I had 28 in the well, it would definitely be easier, because then I would have at least, you know, 2 or 3 feet to play with, you know, where to put this machine. But right now it's actually no, right now we have like probably 4 feet in the front, but we needed that for the cab, you know, that side cab, kind of like where the operator sits. We needed that so the cab clears my neck. And the only thing that concerns me is actually 2 things that concern me. Is one is that for some reason I dropped the suspension on the truck and the trailer, and I applied brakes everywhere when they were lowering the crane so that nothing shifts, right? But I noticed that, of course, the deck sits like this, but the front of the crane, it's all supposed to be flat. It's all metal plates in there, but there's a gap like this in the front, whereas in the back it sits flat on the deck. And I thought maybe it's because I left my outrigger boards in the middle there, but I made sure I took off the top 2, and so now there's only 3 in there, and they should be level with the deck, so I don't think it's that. So I don't know, like worst case scenario, I might ask him, you know, to use this crane and lift it, but I know that would not make him happy, you know. Not the entire thing, but maybe lift the front so I can put some timbers on there, you know. Because the front is not tall, like there's something like a mast in the back on the very top. And that's another thing, I gotta check the height once I have air in my suspension. But I'm a bit concerned about that, because I don't like it that it's a huge crane and it sits, it doesn't touch the deck in the front. And I asked the guy about this, and he says, well, maybe it's because, you know, the front of your trailer pretty much sits on the ground because I drained the suspension. But I have no air in the suspension in the back either, and for some reason over there it's touching, but here it's not touching. So we're gonna see what happens once I put the air back in. But basically, yeah, so if the deck is like this, right, and for some reason the crane sits like this, so when I raise the front, like, why is it sitting like this, right? Why is it not going like this? So that means that either there's something in the way there's something sticking out under the bottom there, or there's so much weight in the back, that's why it sits like this. Anyway, that's one concern. And concern number 2 is getting out of this, right? I mentioned this in the previous video. That heel is really, you know, I was lying in bed thinking about this. How do I not get stuck in there? And now they did the left side, they did the driver's side, they folded, like it's actually super cool. All those hydraulic those legs, once they disconnect the support platform under it, they all fold like this, and they stay within the width of the cab of the main body. And all the platforms, when they disconnect all those pins, they just slide under the cab, and then the top, the side railing just goes like this, and they secure it. And I asked him, it was a bit loose, I said, can you guys please secure some kind of a wire? Like, well, once we're done, because I'm gonna pull out from here, I have like 4 chains prepared, but all my other chains and boards are near the water where I was parked before. And so once they're finished, I'm gonna put 4 chains, 2 in the front, 2 in the back, and just drive, you know, 20 meters and back in there, and then I can finish chaining. So because they have all the equipment here, they have the crane, you know, so I'm not in the way. And also it'll be cool to see, you know, what happens after the air is back in the suspension. Like I said, I'm concerned about the front of that gap. And what I wanted to tell you about is my permits. I got all my permits, and I'll give you an idea. Wisconsin, $107, and the price, that's just the permit fee, right, without the service fees that my permit broker charges. And sometimes if it's a super load, they charge me 2 fees. One is the regular, like 27 bucks, and then there's a super load fee. So I'm not sure if it's a super load or not, but probably yes, because it's I asked for 156,000 pounds gross, 12 wide, and 1311 tall. I was just guessing, you know, just keep myself. I'm probably, I'm not as wide. I checked, I'm like 1110, 1111, but I still have to check the height. So Wisconsin was 107 bucks, and I'm just going straight south on 124. Then I jump on US 53, and then I connect with I-94, and I go east or south until I reach I-39, and then I go down on I-39 towards Illinois border, and that's it. So that's what $107 buys you in Wisconsin. Now Illinois was $272 for some reason, and this route over here is a bit more fun as usual. So I start on I-39, go south, and then I take I-39 tollway, go south, and then I take exit 59A, and I go on I-80 east for 4 miles, and then I jump on Illinois 394 south, basically that's the detour, and then I take a ramp to US 30, and I enter Indiana on US 30 because there's some kind of a construction going on between Illinois and Indiana on I-80, I-94, and they say the restriction is 11 feet wide, and I'm 12. So that's Illinois. Indiana, $82. I like Indiana. Indiana is $82, and no detours here except I start on US 30 from Illinois, right? And then I take 53, Highway 53 north, follow it for 6 miles, and I jump on I-80. And I-80 turns into I-94, and I enter Michigan. Okay, and the last one, Michigan, as usual, 50 bucks. I like Michigan, probably better than Indiana. So again, as usual, Michigan, of course, cannot just send me on a straight line. That would be too simple. So this is the route. We start on I-94, and then we go south on US 131, and then we jump east on US 12, or I know this route, and then US 23 north, I-94 east, M39 south, probably near Detroit, and then I-75 north to I-696, and then I go 696 goes around Detroit, and then I-94 east, and the permit ends at the Blue Water Bridge on I-94. So that's my route. That's my route. So now if you guys want to follow me, that's how I'm going. And of course then I'm in Ontario, and over there I'm just following it's all freeway from the bridge, and I don't need any single trip permits because I'm under 12 feet. Length and height are okay, so my enhanced annual permit covers me. But over there it's just Highway 402, which is a freeway, east to 401 east, and then 401 probably to 427 south to QEW, and then QEW takes me east right into downtown Toronto, and I am unloading somewhere right in downtown near the lake over there. That's where this crane will be working, because there's a lot of construction going on there near that lake, you know, the port. There's a port there, I think. There's lots of machinery I see there, and then they keep working on the freeway as well on QEW over there, Queen Elizabeth Way. So God knows what they're gonna be using this for, but this is a huge machine. Oh, and they removed the cable, right? They removed the cable and they removed some kind of a, like in the front. And they started early this morning. Actually, yeah, I started saying that I went to the truck stop to upload the movie, and I got a coffee, and then I went back because it was already 8:30 local time, and they said be here at 9, and it's like 7 miles away. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna leave at 8:45, and then 20 minutes to 9, as I'm already warming up the truck, my phone rings, and it's one of these guys, and he says, "We're ready for you." I said, "Perfect. I was just about to leave the truck stop, so I'll be there in 2 minutes." And I came here. They were all standing here waiting for me. I backed to my trailer because I had the neck, right? I backed to my trailer, hooked up, and then did a big circle. Yeah, the trailer was parked over there, right? So I hooked up, and then I did a big circle like this, pulled forward, and started doing that, you know, zigzag chainsaw style backing. So you see this side, it's all folded. See, it's pretty much the same as the cab. I really like this, right? And here they still have the railing because they have to walk in there, but eventually it's all gonna be tucked in. And like I said, my only the width, I know the width is gonna be okay. I just need to double check the height and check my gauges for the weight and make sure the front sits on the deck and I don't have that gap. And then of course I still have to get out of this pit, climb that huge hill over there, and hopefully I'm not gonna get stuck. So stay tuned. So once I am all chained up and flagged up, I'll do a walk around and show you the machine up close and personal. Well, I'm finally done. I think this time I took it a bit too far, but you know me, over chain, under promise, over perform. But this thing, it's crazy, you know. So check this out. I put one chain across like this, right? Then I put cross chains, right? Then I still was not happy. I put 2 of these because I saw a sign, lift points. Right, then here I did 2 of these, but for some reason on the other side I don't have this, so I had to come from this eye but on the other side. But anyway, so let's just count. So this is 1 pair, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 pairs. So each one is good for 20,000 pounds. So it's enough to hold this machine if it weighs 160,000 pounds. So the flags are on. I checked the the height was a bit of a scare. I climbed on the top, and the tallest point is that mast with some where is it hiding over there? Yeah, that mast with some cables. I climbed there 14 feet 8 inches tall, and the crane already left, but the service truck from the equipment company was still here. I went over there. I said, "Guys, I'm sorry to bother you, but I cannot drive like this." I said, "All my permits are for 14 and you know, 13, 11. Can we do anything?" And the guy looked at the machine and he says, "Is it in the very back where the mast is?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "Hold on, I think we have a gap in there. Let me see if we can lower it more." I'm like, "What? Sure, let's do it." So he grabbed his ladder, because of course now there's no walkways around the machine, very difficult to climb in. And he had to go inside the cab, start the engine. And this time I'm not covering the exhaust because this thing has a rain cap on top of the exhaust. And so he started the engine, and then he got another guy to watch in the back, because he says, "I don't want to damage anything, so tell me when I'm about to hit something." And turns out that mast could go pretty far down. So he pushed it against the frame and just basically was leaning against the frame. So I climbed on the top, 13.6. I said, man, it's more than a foot, you know, difference. And the guy says, is that all you need? I said, yes, sir. I'm good to go. So now I just want to scale because my gauges are a bit iffy. But you know, the land here is not even, the ground. So now my biggest concern is how to get out of this pit. Remember I mentioned that super sharp hill. And now I put all my height controls at the top, like 5 in the front on the neck, 5 in the back. And then once I climb that, I'm gonna go and lower everything back to maybe 3 in the back. But actually I want to be higher here so that I transfer more weight on the trailer. I think I'm heavy on the truck and not enough on the trailer, even though they kept telling me that the rear of the machine is way heavier because it has an engine. So, and there's still a slight gap in the front, but now it's only on one side. I don't know what's going on, but that's why I put so many chains on, just to make sure it doesn't twist, you know, doesn't do anything funky. So I think we're good. So I sent an email to the broker saying leaving shipper will scale and advise if the gross weight is okay. actually there was a slight touch, because what I did is you know, when you go up like this, right, all the weight will go in the back, and so the front went up, and also I lift up my lift axle, and then I applied all my axle locks. Differentials don't want to unlock. Oh, now we're good. And also I raised the front to position 4.
Head south on Wisconsin 124 south toward 182nd Avenue.
And the rear is in position 2, so I try to create a little bit of an angle towards the rear, just to move a bit more weight from the truck towards the trailer. And I double checked how wide I am. I'm like 11.2, at least in the front.